I've always been fascinated by horror stories. The thrill of fear, the adrenaline rush, the unknown. I never thought that I would experience my own horror story, but that changed when I checked into the Bates Motel.
It was late at night and I was tired from a long day of driving. I saw the neon sign of the Bates Motel flickering in the distance and decided to stop for the night. I rationalized that it was just a small run-down motel and that I was just being paranoid. But as I entered the lobby, a chill went down my spine.
The manager, Mrs. Bates, greeted me with a fake smile and handed me my keys. Her eyes seemed to linger on me for a little too long, sending shivers down my spine. I quickly made my way to my room, eager to get some rest. As I walked down the dimly lit hallway, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination, but the feeling only intensified as I stepped into my room. The room was small and musty, with a smell that reminded me of death. The bed was old and creaky, the sheets stained and the walls were covered in peeling wallpaper. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, I was too tired to care. I collapsed into bed and drifted off to sleep. I was awakened by the sound of footsteps outside my room. At first, I brushed it off as just another guest, but the footsteps seemed to be getting closer and closer. I sat up in bed, heart racing, as the doorknob began to turn. I frantically looked around for something to defend myself with, but all I found was a heavy lamp. The door suddenly flew open, and I screamed as I swung the lamp at the intruder. But it wasn't a person. It was a large rat scurrying across the floor. My heart was still pounding as I realized that I had locked the door and pushed a chair against it before going to bed. How could a rat have gotten in? I chalked it up to just a coincidence and tried to calm myself down. But then I heard it. A low, guttural laugh coming from the corner of the room. My blood ran cold as I heard the words, "Welcome home, Mr. English," echoing through the room. I searched for the source of the voice, but no one was there. I was about to dismiss it as my imagination when I felt a cold hand grab my ankle from under the bed. I screamed and jumped out of bed, tripping and falling onto the floor. I scrambled to get up, but something was pulling me back. I looked behind me and saw a dark figure emerging from under the bed. It was the ghost of Mrs. Bates, her eyes empty and her face twisted into a horrifying grin. She dragged me towards her, her grip tightening on my ankle. I struggled and screamed, but I couldn't break free. As she pulled me closer, I noticed that her other hand was holding a large kitchen knife. In a split-second decision, I grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and swung it at her. The lamp shattered, causing the ghost to disappear in a cloud of dust. I quickly grabbed my belongings and ran out of the room, never looking back. As I ran to my car, I glanced back at the motel and saw the neon sign flickering again. But this time, it wasn't just the letters Bates Motel. It read, Bates Sanatorium for the Mentally Insane. I shuddered at the thought of what could have happened to me if I had stayed there any longer. I got into my car and drove off into the night, feeling grateful to have escaped that motel alive. But even years later, I can still hear the ghostly laughter echoing in my mind, and I can't help but feel a chill every time I pass by a rundown motel.